Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 23-24 Pi Gamma Mu Speaker Series event, and thank you for joining us. I would like to ask if you are not speaking to please mute and turn off your video. There will be an opportunity for each of you attending to introduce yourselves in a moment. I'll tell you about that shortly, but we'll wait just a moment here in case anyone else would like to join. And in the meantime, let's see. I'll run through our agenda briefly with you all. First, I will provide a brief introduction to the speaker series. Then, as I mentioned, each of the attendees will be given the opportunity to introduce themselves. And what we were looking for would be your name, the college or university where you joined Pi Gamma Mu, your current position, and where you're located right now, your city, state, and country. Before we really get started, there are a few people that I would like to thank. First of all, thank you to all of the lifetime members who have taken the time to join us here today. I know some of you have gotten up in the middle of the night, so a special thanks to you. I would also like to personally thank and welcome our speaker tonight, Dr. James Wojtowicz. He will be properly introduced in a few minutes by our president, Dr. Susan Kinsella, the president of our board of trustees. I would also like to thank Professor Allison Knox, who developed and organized this speaker series on behalf of Pi Gamma Mu. So thank you, Allison. Now I'd like to take just a few minutes to tell you a little bit about Pi Gamma Mu and the speaker series itself. As many of you probably know, we were founded in 1924, which means next year we will be turning 100 years old. We are the oldest and preeminent interdisciplinary honor society in the social sciences. We have served over 480 different colleges and universities, and we add new chapters every year. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization approved by the Internal Revenue Service of the United States as a charitable organization. So your donations are tax deductible as allowed by the IRS. We have been a certified member of the Association of College Honor Societies since 1953. The association is the only certifying agency for college honor societies in the United States. And our membership is important because it demonstrates that we continue to meet the requirements set by a neutral body that is dedicated to maintaining the highest standards for organizational excellence and scholastic eligibility, as well as assuring member participation in our governance, so that the interest of our individual members is represented and advanced. The ACHS recertifies its members every year. Now back to Pi Gamma Mu in particular. Our mission is to encourage and promote excellence in the social sciences and to uphold and nurture scholarship, leadership, and service. We achieve this mission in a variety of ways, including through our peer-reviewed professional journal, the International Social Science Review, through our conventions, our scholarship program, and through this speaker series. This series was launched on September 30th of 2022, and we had 4 speakers present throughout the year. Due to the popularity of the series, the Board of Trustees has decided to continue. The sessions are held online via Zoom and are free of charge and open to the public. This year's series will be launched by Professor James Wojtowicz of Rider University, Johanna Bishop of Wilmington University, Richard Gregory Johnson III of the University of San Francisco, and Stephen Burkhardt and Deirdre Condit of Virginia Commonwealth University. Before I hand this over to President Susan Kinsella, we would like to take a few minutes to allow the attendees today to introduce themselves. So I'm going to try to run through and announce each of you, and when I do, please turn on your camera and microphone if you're comfortable and tell us your name, your college or university where you joined, your current position, and where you're located today. I would like to start with our speaker today, Dr. James Wojtowicz.
Perfect, good, Susan. Yeah, hi, so I'm Jim Wojtowicz. I'm here at Rider University. Worked many years in the criminal justice field. Actually, I'm going to cover some of that in my slide. I have some more of my background, but it's a real pleasure to be here today with everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Could we have Dr. Susan Kinsella?
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm Sue Kinsella. I'm the president of Pi Gamma Mu, and very, very happy to be here today and welcome to everyone. This is an exciting time for us. This is our second year of the series.
Thank you. Could we have Professor Allison Knox?
Hi, everyone. I am signing in from New York. I teach at the American Military University in the Emergency Management and Fire Science departments. I also teach political science at a couple of other universities. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Allison. Dr. Gordon Mercer, please. I think you're muted. Okay.
Okay.
There we
my
go.
name's Gordon Mercer, and I'm past president of Pi Gamma Mu International Honor Society. My area is political science, and I am professor emeritus at Western Carolina University, work in the area of chapter and membership development for Pi Gamma Mu, and I'm in Franklin, North Carolina.
Thank you, Gordon. Brooke Hunter, please.
Hello, I'm Jim's colleague at Rider University. I'm an associate dean and history professor, and Rider is located in Lawrence Township, New Jersey.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. Geraldine, I believe it's Mitchell. I can't see your full last name.
Yes, I'm Geraldine Mitchell. I'm a former student of Mercy College. I'm presently teaching for the Department of Education. I joined maybe I would want to say in 2009, maybe somewhere around there. It's been a very long time. Since I've been in school, when I came from Mercy College, I can't really vaguely remember the year because after Mercy, I went to another school. So I would say around 2009, maybe, just taking a wild guess. But I keep getting the email, so I decided to join just to see what it was about. Again, I was a part of the association when I was attending Mercy, and then I continued to get the email. So today, since I was off, I decided to join you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you, Geraldine. That's a great story. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Professor Padata.
Everyone, good morning from the
Good
Philippines,
morning.
and good evening to good afternoon to every one of you. I'm Professor Jobert Padata. I was inducted in year 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic at the Philippine Alpha chapter located in the University of the Philippines. I'm presently working as a social science instructor at Cebu Normal University. So I'm currently living in Cebu, Philippines. Thank you.
Wow, wonderful. Thanks for joining us. It's
You're
probably
welcome.
it's the middle of the night there. Thank you. Okay. Larry Bonura. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
No, you did just fine. Hello, everybody. My name is Larry Bonura, and I am not a professor of any sort. I am a historian, and I've been a member for, I don't know, 40, 45 years. And I am coming to you from north of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Wow, 45 years. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Larry. And Tamara DC.
Hey, I'm trying to get the video to work. I don't know if it is. I'm Tamara DC. I'm from St. Leo
Yes.
University, an administrator at St. Leo University. So I'm not a member of Pi Gamma Mu, but I know Dr. Kinsella sent out a lot of information about it, and I thought this session sounded interesting. So here I am.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here. Michael Cassidy. If you are able to unmute, I don't see an unmute button. If you're with us, Michael Cassidy. Looks like he's connecting to audio. Might have a little technical delay with Michael's connection. Well, perhaps we could meet Michael at the close of our session. Oops. One moment. Okay. I'm back. And can you all hear and see me?
Yes.
Tamara? Okay. Okay, great. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. It was so lovely to get to meet you all during this session, and we really appreciate you being here. Next, I will hand this off to Dr. Susan Kinsella to introduce our speaker. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Dr. Kinsella. She is currently the Interim Vice President of Academic Affairs at St. Leo University, based in Florida. She has served as the Dean of the College of Education and Social Services and as a Professor of Human Services. She joined St. Leo in 2011 as an undergraduate department chair for Human Services. She has a PhD in social work from Fordham University and an MSW from Marywood University and a BSW from Pennsylvania State University. She has over 35 years of teaching and administrative experience and has numerous publication and textbooks written in her discipline. She has been a chapter sponsor of the Pi Gamma Mu chapter at St. Leo University for many years and has served multiple roles on the Pi Gamma Mu Board of Trustees, including her current position as the president of our board. Now I will hand it off to Dr. Kinsella to introduce our.
Thank you, Suzanne. Wow, that's quite a welcome, and welcome to everyone that's here. And Tamara, it's great you came. I've been sending out information about this program, so I'm happy that somebody is here from St. Leo. So good afternoon and welcome to our 2023-24 speaker series for Pi Gamma Mu. And today our speaker, Mr. James Wojtowicz of Rider University, will speak about open public and freedom of information statutes, a tool in the social science toolbox. But before we start, I did want to give you just a little bit more information about Pi Gamma Mu, some of the things that we're doing here too. As Suzanne said, we are an international honor society, and already we were able to prove that by Joubert joining us from the Philippines. So that was a wonderful addition today. We are one of the oldest international honor societies, and it's the only interdisciplinary social science honor society. So that's quite a distinction we have. the purpose is to award academic excellence and service. So this speaker series falls right in line with the kinds of things we want to do for our students and for our chapters. So the idea was developed by Allison Knox. Everyone on the board thought it was a wonderful idea. So we've been hosting a variety of speakers for the last couple of years, and we will continue to do that. Started in 1924 by the deans of Southwestern College and the College of William and Mary. The headquarters today are in Winfield, Kansas. So that's where Suzanne is coming from. Throughout its existence, it has produced many well-known scholars, diplomats, political leaders, business leaders, and pioneering professionals. So lots of disciplines can be members of Pi Gamma Mu. Some of our famous members include U.S. President Lyndon Johnson, anthropologist Margaret Mead, criminologist Edward Ross, and Nobel Prize winner Jane Addams. So we're all in good company as members. The organization turns 100 years old in 2024, and we certainly want to celebrate that milestone during our triennial convention in November of 2024. We are meeting in Philadelphia next year. We have organized a history committee that is gathering information from our archives, and we are reaching out to all of our chapters to provide their own short stories highlighting particular Pi Gamma Mu memories that they want to share. So I encourage you all as members, and to please go back to your chapters, look into the investigation, the history of your own chapter, hopefully with the assistance maybe of some of your current students and possibly some of your alums. And it sounds like, Larry, you're one of our alums, so maybe you could find out about that chapter you were in and see if you could get them to do a little bit of digging on some of their history. So we're also encouraging our original 17 chapters to contribute to this history project. Dr. Clara Small, who is on our board, is a noted historian. She's written many books on the history of our coastal areas on the northeastern seaboard, as well as a number on African Americans and their history. And she's agreed to write the book for us. So we're looking at a history of Pi Gamma Mu with the inclusion of our past presidents and our Hall of Fame inductees, the evolution of our journal. We used to do all kinds of print journals, and now everything is digital. Reviewing information from our annual meetings and our conventions, including topics that we've discussed over the past 100 years. So we even find that some of the topics were really kind of amusing and certainly very historic. You know, if you look at the history of our conventions and where we've been and how things have changed over the years, the kinds of things our students were involved in, the work that our alum have engaged in over the years, the kinds of things that we're doing. So if you would like to participate, please start thinking about your own history with your chapter, or contacting your chapter, or even just writing a little short, article for us and sending it to Suzanne. The information is in the chat with Suzanne's address, so you can send it to her, because we are looking for information to put into our book. If you have any memorabilia, you might have some old Pi Gamma Mu memorabilia. We would certainly love to have you share that. We'd say, send it along, and we can get it back to you if you want to loan it to us. If you don't need it and you want to give it to us, that's fine too. Better yet, come to our convention next year and bring it right along with you, because we will have a place for everyone to look at some of maybe of our old convention information, old newsletters, flyers, some of our old journals. So the convention promises to be quite exciting. We have an area for student papers. The students will be presenting. We have a poster session. Allison is organizing another leadership program. We've done that for the last couple of our conventions, and we do give certificates to the students for this additional work that they do on leadership. We'll also be taking students to the Constitution Center in Philadelphia to look at the leadership qualities and what our founding fathers and some of our founding mothers also did to try to develop the culture and the community and certainly the Constitution itself and the Declaration of Independence. So we're going to be doing a lot of work on that. A call for papers will go out this spring. So if you have any students you'd like to present, please make sure that you're looking for this. We're going to be staying at the Doubletree Hotel in the middle of Philadelphia with access to transportation, museums, restaurants, and many delights of the city. We are excited that the Lyndon B. Johnson Foundation is going to be accepting an award that we will be offering for President Johnson's extraordinary work during the Civil Rights Movement. and during his term of office. We have keynote speakers and award participants, including Nobel Prize winners. So we have a lot of wonderful events, dinners, and award programs planned. So we certainly hope that you can join us. Now, on to why we are all here today. We are very pleased to welcome Mr. James Wojtowicz, the faculty chapter sponsor of the New Jersey Delta chapter of Pi Gamma Mu at Rider University. He's an assistant professor and lecturer in the Department of Sociology and Criminology at the university. Before coming to Rider, Mr. Wojtowicz was the managing director of the Command, Control, and Interoperability Center for Advanced Data Analysis, which is a U.S. Department of Homeland Security Research Center of Excellence at Rutgers University. And prior to that, he worked many years in New Jersey's criminal justice system as the division director of the Office of Drugs in the New Jersey Department of Corrections. So with his broad university experience and as a criminal justice field practitioner, Mr. Wojtowicz focuses his teaching and coursework on the importance of the integration of theory, research, and evidence with real-world criminal justice operations. His topic today is open public record and freedom of information statutes, a tool in the social science research toolbox. Please welcome Mr. James Wojtowicz.
Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you for that beautiful introduction there. And thank you to all the guests. I'm very impressed with the attendance for today. So thanks for coming along. Before I start, of course, I have to acknowledge Pi Gamma Mu, the leadership for this opportunity. Right, as soon as I saw this, I kind of jumped on it. That we have such a great organization, and I really appreciate that. I also want to thank my department colleagues, my colleagues from the college and the school. Dean Hunter, thank you for coming. I appreciate the support and encouragement always. And of course, I have to acknowledge our student members from the Rider chapter. These are all great students. So Pi Gamma Mu, excellent, I must say. So this is really my plan, and we'll see how it goes today. I want to give you a brief introduction, a little bit, I guess, more about myself in terms of where this idea is coming from. I want to talk about what are these open public record statutes, and where did they come from, and what are the definitions attached to them? What value do they have to us as researchers, social science researchers? I say discovery and victory, so we'll see what the victory is about. Of course, nothing is easy, so there are challenges involved. I have a few ideas and examples. I am taking a leap, and I may try to do a live Oprah demo, which every time I do a live demo in class, something always goes awry. So we'll see what happens today. And just in closing, just think data and think Oprah. So that's where we are. And of course, hopefully, and we will make sure there's room for questions. So this is absolutely correct. I was a practitioner in the New Jersey criminal justice system. I worked for the Attorney General and the Division of Criminal Justice and the New Jersey Department of Corrections. The way we like to say it, I served time at the Department of Corrections. I did look at a Homeland Security Research Center. Its acronym came up with by the director there, Cicada Center, of all things. And that was an applied research center. So I think this is kind of the orientation that I have. And of course, now I've been at my best and most favorite job, and that's here at Rider University. And I teach mostly the criminal justice courses in our department. And this is correct too, right? That this is at the core of my philosophy and teaching philosophy is this idea of integration of theory and research with practice and policy, right? That I try to impress on the students that it's very important to understand the theoretical foundations and to be able to research in these areas, but they actually have utility, they have value to practice and policy. And I guess this is kind of where I'm coming from in terms of being a former practitioner, right? I can actually recall and see those times and events where, you know, the academic community came in partnership with us and actually advanced good practice and good policy. So I try to get that in there. The value of methodology, right? So it's not just research and results and findings and these kinds of things. And this really came from the Rutgers Cicada Center. The idea that presenting a methodology has value and utility too, right? That if we can show others coming after us that here's a way I did this, figured this out, and it could have value to you. And I guess that's kind of at the core of this talk, right? Because I've kind of figured out some ways of figuring out these Oprah records. And so I think there's value in methodology as much as there is in findings and things like this. I truly have this practitioner perspective, criminal justice practitioner perspective. And, you know, I was looking over the examples that I'm going to show later today, and they really are all in the criminal justice area, but that doesn't mean that this is limited to criminal justice, but I have that perspective and I try to bring that, and I really think that it's important for discovery, right? So part of, you know, I try to convey to the students is there's excitement and joy in discovery somehow, and this can happen through these public records, I think. So you may have heard of these, I'm not sure, but there is something called the Freedom of Information Act. That's FOIA. Sometimes you'll hear FOIA requests. This is the federal act. In New Jersey, we have something called the Open Public Records Act. So I guess I've been making a lot of reference to Oprah, right? So this is Open Public Records Act. But the important thing here is that they're acts, right? This tells us that these are actually laws, right? So these Freedom of Information, Open Public Record laws were approved by the legislature and the executive, right? And so these are, there's a lot of meat behind them, right? Because they are actual laws that agencies must comply with. They're vertical in orientation because there are open public record type laws at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. So we think of that as a vertical thing. I am really, I always say this in class, and my students know this, I'm New Jersey centric. So this is really going to talk about New Jersey's Oprah case. Really kind of showing the methodology that can be applied to not only the federal case, but also other state cases. The benefit of these being laws too, right? So it's not only because it has some teeth in its compliance, but when we have laws, we can always go back and find the origins of these laws. We can go and see the legislative intent, right? So so let's see what they said is the reason for this. A little bit text dense, so I don't like to do that, but this is important. This is the public records law in New Jersey. And we see, right, the legislature finds and declares. So they're telling us that the purpose of this is that government records shall be readily accessible for inspection, copy, and examination by the citizens of the state, with certain exceptions. Okay, so there are certain things that are not public record available for the protection of the public interest. Right, so this is the intent of this, right? Is that we should have these records available for us in our public interest. Of course, it goes on and talks about the exemptions and the public agency obligations. So you can certainly look at that. We see that there was two laws here. It was originated in 1963, which I guess I don't recall when, but the first time I looked at this, kind of surprised me that this Freedom of Information Act type of thought was actually back to 1963, which is pretty interesting to me. It was amended again in 2001. Okay. So again, I went back to the 1963 law and found the legislative intent, the statement. The purpose of this bill is in furtherance of freedom of information to the public of the transaction of government business by ensuring that the citizens of the state the right to examine public records. Right? This is the intent This is kind of the interesting language that was added to this, right? This is the statement of intent. There have been many instances of illegal and arbitrary denial of the right to such inspection. Right? So this was very interesting to me. 1963 was the solving of a problem. That problem being that there was arbitrary and illegal denial of inspection of records. Right. So I always direct my students when we have laws in front of us to go back and look at the origins and look at the statements to see, what were they thinking at the time? And this is the problem that they saw at the time. This was the remember there was two. There was the original law in 1963, and in 2001 there was an amendment, and this was by during Governor Greavy's time. Our new Open Public Records Act took effect. The law makes it clear records made by local and state government officials are presumed to be available for inspection and copying by citizens. Narrow exceptions for victims, right? Okay, so there are exceptions and reasonable exceptions. Victims, emergency and security information, right? We don't want the adversary to doing OPRA, Freedom of Information Act requests on strategies of law enforcement necessarily. Criminal investigations, we understand that they're ongoing. And so there are areas where confidentiality is required, but it's pretty wide open otherwise. The law will challenge government to be responsive, accountable, open. Our citizens deserve nothing less. So this is what Governor McGreevy said back in 2002 when signing this amendment. Okay. All right. So what is this public record then? So this is all driving toward how can we use this record, right? Well, how can we get this record and use it for ourselves? So a government record, paper, written, printed book, document, drawing, map, plan, photograph, microfilm, data processing, image process, document, information stored electronically, sound recording, similar device, any copy thereof, right? So it's very broad in defining what a public record is. This is should be bold here. It doesn't look so bold, but that has been made, maintained, or kept on file in the course of his or for its official business, right? So these are documents that are created as part of the regular course of business of government entities. So with the exception of those few things like the victims and the investigations and those things, any document created by the government entities should be open for us to request and see. The other part there that's bold, or has been received in the course of his or its official business, right? So it's not just the great documents the government is creating behind the scenes someplace. It's also the items received, letters received, or documents received by government from other people outside of government. So another rich source of information if we can figure it out. Okay. I just wanted to at least, although I'm focusing on New Jersey again, just mention that the Federal Freedom of Information Act is also a law that we can go see. It's Title 5, Chapter 5, Section 552. In fact, that the link will take you there. Excuse me. Similar thing, right? That we have access to federal documents with certain exceptions, right? The ones that we talked about. So I'm making this bold assertion that these are a valuable research tool somehow, right? And in fact, I guess I tend to use these kind of words, extremely valuable, and my students tell me I do bold a lot, so I guess I'm bolding and saying extreme. Government entities collect and create a lot of records, a lot of documents, a lot of information in the course of business. And I was thinking about this, like, how do I know this, right? And I guess maybe this is my advantage of being a former practitioner. We create a lot of paper in government. And so that's number one. Information is not easily found. It's hidden information, right? So we don't get to see these hundreds and thousands of documents created by government or received by government. How do we find them, right? They're not easily found. It's almost, I don't want to editorialize, hidden somehow, but some people think it's hidden. You can discover information you didn't even know existed, right? So if you and I have some suggestions, some ideas of how to proceed in that way.
Really?
But
Okay.
you may actually, and this is true, and this is true for me. You find information that you didn't even know existed, and then you can do an open request for that too, right? It's a pathway to more information, right? So if I have a document in front of me that makes reference to some report or some data or something like this, it's a cascading, it's a chain of events that can actually lead me to more information. There are websites, and I make reference to a couple of these later on, that some agencies actually put out there open requests made by others, right? So not only can I put in a request for information, some agencies actually put out all of the, more exaggerate, they put out the Oprah requests and answers that they've received in the past. And this is really a rich source of information, not just straightforward to have all this great information. This is part of that chain of events too, that if I grab some of these requests that somebody else put in and they make reference to some report or some data or something like this, I've now discovered another avenue for myself. I'm going to talk about the gatekeeper and agency constructed data more coming up here, so I'll reserve that. But well, this time I didn't do bold, I did underline. So excitement, discovery, and victory. There is excitement in getting this data from these agencies, and there is, to me, excitement and discovery from some of this information. And the reason I say victory, they don't necessarily make it easy. So when you actually get a completed full Oprah response, it's good, it feels good. The gatekeeper. So we have to think about it that the agency really is a gatekeeper. They're standing between this great data, this great information is out there, and us who may be interested in it, right? That they create a lot of data, they create a lot of information. We don't even know what it is necessarily, but it is true that they are in control of it. They stand between us. And I'm not trying to sound cynical or negative, but this is true that if we don't know what's on the other side there, they're standing between us, and they act like a gatekeeper to what we can get. And this, I think, and I don't want to overgeneralize here either, but this is a characteristic of bureaucracies, that they are protective of their data and their information. This makes me go back to the original intent when there have been many instances of illegal and arbitrary denial of the right to such inspection. This makes me think gatekeeper, that they did not want to give this data out for inspection. Agency constructed data is another similar thing where the data we actually do see from these agencies is data not only that they've prepared, but what they put out for public consumption, right? So agency constructed data, we see this great information, and I'm not trying not to be cynical, is information that is controlled by the agency as to what goes out there. I mean, there might be reasonable reasons, right? That we can't put everything out there, so let's put out a summary or something, right? But it is true that the data that we see is constructed by these agencies. So this is why I think there's some value here in this way, because it lets us bypass these two things, right? If we're able to get the original documents, first of all, we're able to get those documents that we've been prevented from. And we're getting the original information, not the constructed, filtered information. And so to me, this is another one of those reasons that this is such a valuable tool. Yeah, it's not so easy. And, you know, I was worked in the bureaucracy myself, and I'll speak for myself and not my agency, but, you know, when an Oprah request came in, information request came in, you know, we were all kind of groaning, you know, here we got to put this together again. But so it's not so easy necessarily, right? How do we know what information has been created or received, right? I mean, this is where the open records is, that any document, information that's been created or received, we have access to. Well, how do we even know what that is? We have to know exactly what to ask for. Agencies only have to provide existing documents. So if you don't ask the right way, they'll tell you they don't have to create you a new document or anything like this, right? So we have to be pretty precise in asking what we want. Again, there are certain documents and information that are exempt from the Oprah and the FOIA, which, okay, we understand that, and we wouldn't necessarily be pursuing that, but we do have to be aware that it's not the answer for every data request we might have. Timing, although the laws do set deadlines, agencies can ask for extensions. So I'm in the middle of writing this great research, and now I'm sitting waiting for the Oprah request to come in because agencies can ask for extensions. Costs, not so much anymore. This used to be a problem, not a problem, but at least something that made it a little more challenging. That, you know, they had to photocopy it, the cost of paper, and it was, I don't recall the exact prices, like 25 cents a copy or 50 cents a copy. And you ask for a big document, all of a sudden it's costly. So not so much anymore because documents usually scanned, but this is a consideration. The laws have this language, substantial disruption, that an agency can claim that, well, we got this great Oprah request from you, but this is going to make me divert staff and resources from my primary mission and cause a substantial disruption. So I may not be able to get to your Oprah request. So there are challenges. And so, you know, I wanted to just show you all the ones that I did get, but I have to show you the ones I did not. This first one on the top left here, I guess I originally put in this records request in March, and they told me in September they still needed more time, right? So I have a series of emails that say, you know, we need another 2 weeks or something like this. So there's the evidence that they do extend. The one on the right there, my request does not identify the records I'm seeking. So I wasn't specific enough to say, I'm looking for this, this, and this. They said Oprah only allows for requests for records, not requests for data, information, or statistics. Oprah is not intended as a research tool to force government officials to identify and cite the useful information. Yeah, so they, I don't want to read into that, and I know what agency that was, but they came back with an answer for me for sure, right? But this happens. If I don't ask exactly right, and the agency is maybe more reluctant than some other, they may come back and say, you didn't ask for something we have, or we're not going to make it for you. And then sometimes you get the ones that are, you know, withhold from production. That's their way of saying that these are exempt, right? An interagency or interagency advisory or deliberative board, something like this is not held to these laws, right? So these are the kind of rejections that you do get, and but they were helpful to me. All right, so I'm going to give a couple examples, a couple strategies. Right, I said this is about methodology as much as anything else, and I did say that most, I don't want to say most, all of these have a criminal justice theme to them. And so my first example is this number of inmate disciplines in secure facilities. And so secure facilities, that means a prison, inmate disciplines, these are the things, these are the rules that inmates break inside the prison. And so the suggestion here, the method here is find existing agency published data and seek greater details, right? So again, agencies put out information, they put out data, find that data, and then ask something related to that, ask something more details in that. Okay. And so what I found was, so New Jersey actually has this really great government transparency site called yourmoneynewjersey.gov. Again, it's, so I'll say this in the next line, it's a performance center. So agencies have to kind of tell taxpayers, you know, here's some performance measures that we are sharing with you to let you know that your tax money is going to good use. In this performance center, we get measures of certain performance indicators. Agency selected, right? So this is very consistent with the idea of agency constructed, right? The agency gets to decide which data to present in this performance center, but it is a rich data set, and I recommend that sometime. And of course, I'm focused on criminal justice agencies. It has all kinds of social service agencies. Every executive branch agency has submitting this information and available for public view. So I hope this isn't too small to see, but this is an example from the New Jersey Department of Corrections, my favorite place. They have, they call it the core mission, safety within institutions. And I'm interested in the number of inmate disciplines within the secure facilities population, right? So in the prison system in 2020, this is a 2020, and they have it going forward and back from there. I just picked this one. In 2020, there were 8,899 inmate disciplines in the secure facilities population, right? So over the 365 days across the population, I guess it's around 18,000 at the time, or maybe less, there were 8,899 or 8,900 disciplines, disciplinary charges made. And so it's not broken down by gender. And so this goes to the idea that we have to believe that corrections knows this, right? That some document was created within corrections that broke it out, right? How did they accumulate this 8899? They had to accumulate it from the male prisons plus the female prison. And so that's what my first, this first request, I don't want to take credit for it. This first request wanted, was seeking to find the proportion of male versus female inmate disciplinaries. And the reason this was relevant actually at the time, and this was a student of mine who was doing this, and I don't know how many may or may not be familiar with New Jersey, but there was significant sexual assault charges at the women's prison, right? And so we wanted to see, was the disciplinary action different in the female prison than the male prison? And it was Frederick L. who made this request. Right, the information sent to the central office regarding female disciplinary counts. We tried to be as specific as possible, referring to what the female prison might have sent to the central office, made reference to the Transparency Center and all these kinds of things. So, and we wanted it for 2020 back to 2016, and they did it. This is the victory one. So you can see, this is actually what they sent. Just a document like this, which almost looks like they made it for us, but they say no. But okay. If we look at this, we looked at 2020, just to give you a feel for what we did with it, right? So here's the power of it, right? We were able to find out disciplinary differences between male and female inmates. So the rate for 100 inmates for the male population was just about 18,000, and there were 8,100 disciplines. Was 45 disciplines for every 100 male inmates. The female population, only 555 during that year. and 799 female disciplines. So, if we do that rate, it was 144 disciplines for every 100 female inmates. And so there's a lot more to do here, right? There's a lot more to investigate here. But through this open public records request, we were actually able to get this kind of information, to see this striking, I don't want to editorialize, striking difference between male and female disciplines, right? We'd have to investigate why, we'd have to see if there's some other factors involved here, but this certainly is worthy of further investigation. Yeah. The monthly indicator and statistical and narrative summary reports. And so the method here is find existing agency contracts for service. So for those who may or may not be familiar, agencies, government agencies contract out services in addition to providing services themselves, right? So there's a lot of reasons they do that. You can argue that's a taxpayer thing. If we do a contract, we'll get the lowest bidder and things like this. But they do contract out for services. And in these contracts, in these winning vendor contracts, you see things like vendors are required to submit periodic reports, right, to the agency. Ask for these reports, right? So this is another one kind of looking through an existing government document, seeing that they have this obligation to report their activity, right? They have to justify that their contract is, they're satisfying the contract. They have to justify that they're worthy of payment. So this is an opportunity for us to ask for the same reports. And I see here, this is another New Jersey Department of Corrections one. And again, I'm putting this together, I was a little self-conscious about this, that it's very much not only New Jersey centric, but corrections centric. That's not to say that this doesn't apply to other areas, that's for sure. So in New Jersey, the inmate health care is provided by the state's medical school. It's actually Rutgers. And there is this contract, the agreement for inmate health care services to the Department of Corrections from Rutgers. And it was actually a writer student, Jessica C., who helped me get this contract. Within this, in section 3.13, there is this talk of a monthly indicator statistical and narrative report. And this report includes at minimum listing of inmate deaths, suicide, attempted forced medications, emergency trips, hospitalizations, diseases, exposure to blood-borne pathogens. Right? Having this cumulative data is very interesting. So, of course, I present winning one. This is a victory. Here's what they said. And this was I guess this was my request after Jessica got the contract for me. I requested these reports going for 19 through 21. And yeah, they said yes. So really good. Okay. The attachment had been redacted, right? So I was victorious, but and they didn't reject it outright, but they did redact information, and we can understand this: medical, psychiatric, psychological diagnosis, treatment, evaluation, HIPAA, right? So they were actually very helpful in that they didn't just reject it; they actually redacted it, and we'll see that right now. Well, so this is what this looks like. I don't have any example analysis attached to it, and I hope it's big enough for people to see, but you can see that they blocked out the names. I'm sure that's what that column was, but we know from which hospitals had the most emergencies to the hospital rooms. We know how long inmates were in the hospital. We know kind of whether it was a scheduled visit or emergency visit. Sometimes there's schedule visits, things like that. So I don't have one of those accompanying analysis with this, but you can imagine, and this is just one of the summary reports from the inmate health records. They're very rich, right? And the truth is, without the public records request, we would never see this. And I think there's some research value in this as well. Okay. Like I said, some places have an archive, and this is very valuable too, right? And this Mercer County, that's the county in which we are right now, in Riders in Mercer County. They have an open public records archives, and the idea, the method here is to explore these, right? So if you can find agencies that do this, here's a whole bunch that people already made requests for. We might not even thought of these requests, but they've made them. And so you can search on these, at least in the Mercer County case, and I asked for jail inmate death. So I guess I have a theme going here, and it's something to do with inmates, I guess. But there were Oprah requests related to this. Now, I didn't even know there were these records out there. And so through someone else's, and actually I think this was a news media outlet who was looking into this, I was able to discover that this data is out there. All right. And this is not, I guess, not a very pleasant part of the talk. In this year, I forget what year this was, and I can't see the full screen myself at the moment, but it looks like it was 2012, right? So these were requested for multiple years. This report was generated, right? This is generated by the government agency to report not only how many inmate deaths, but there's other really interesting stuff here in terms of, the population, average population, and how many under U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and how many are wanted by the Marshal Service, right? So there's a lot of information in this report that I didn't even know existed until I looked at somebody else's Oprah request. And I put one in myself because I wanted to see these reports over time, right? And here's an example where there were 3 inmate deaths: heart failure, respiratory distress, that's bad. And of course, the county jail is kind of a transitory place. People don't do a lot of time in the county jail. But here's one: suicide by hanging. And this is kind of, so this is what makes it research interesting and I would argue valuable in a way, right? That should we expect a correctional agency to not be paying attention close enough to know that inmates are in this type of position, right? So if you look over these multiple years, it's very sobering to see suicide by so I asked for these for across these multiple years because I found that. This is very similar to the Mercer County, where existing archive data. The FBI has one, and this one is most interesting, I must say. The vault FBI.gov. And they have these different categories: anti-war, civil rights, counterterrorism, gangs, fugitives, political figures, right? They've categorized these Freedom of Information Act requests and answers, right? One of my colleagues would be very interested to know that there's actually a file on the Grateful Dead and Jerry Garcia in there, I believe. So I think this is under, let's see which one this is. Yeah, I don't see it offhand, but you can, popular culture. That's, if you want to see those, you can see popular culture and see that the FBI investigated Dolly Parton and things like this. It's really crazy. So again, this is out here, this kind of stuff's out here, and these are the starting points for further information, because I'm sure that if you went through these reports, you'd see reference to things that you could ask further even. And here's just some other ones that and a lot of students have helped me with these. So I see that we're slightly kind of after the scheduled time. I don't know if I'm going to do a live Oprah request. We'll see how the questions are, I suppose. See what kind of time we have. But this is the New Jersey Oprah request form. And yeah, this is what I was going to do in the live demo, the civil asset forfeiture reports. I don't know how familiar you may or may not be with these. The good news is they're not corrections form. Civil asset forfeiture is we can take your property if it's been involved in the crime, even without a conviction, right? And so there's a lot of controversy about civil asset forfeiture. Do we really have the right to take property of individuals if they haven't gone through the criminal justice system? And in fact, the other side of this is that it's very challenging to get your own stuff back somehow. And so the Appropriations Act in New Jersey, the budget, actually has language. This is another case where you go to one government document that is available and see what kind of things they talk about, what kind of reports are required and necessary. And in fact, I hadn't thought about it, but it is true that this is a place where you probably see this kind of thing, because the legislature wants the executive branch agencies to report on the information that they're allocating money for, right? So within the Appropriations Act, there is this language. Written reports are due on August 1st and February 1st, talking about how they used, disposed of, what they collected, interest, right? Because again, this is one of those areas that is really kind of controversial, because law enforcement agencies could change their strategies and priorities to focus on only those that are going to get them the highest civil asset forfeiture, right? So we want to see this. We want to know who are they getting from the money from and how much are they getting, things like that. So this is out there, and we can do an Oprah request to get this. Okay. Yeah, that's the live one. Yeah. Okay. We'll go back. So think data, think Oprah. And when I say Oprah, again, I'm just very New Jersey centric, but this is applicable to the FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act of the feds. I was thinking I should get one of my senior capstone students to do a review and analysis of the Oprah laws across the country. But think Oprah, right? So I guess, and it's very unfair for me. I'm a practitioner. I've been involved in these things. I've seen Oprah from the other side, so maybe it's easy for me to see these things. But there are clues out there that can actually lead you to more information, more data. So when you look at government documents, I'd say when reading, but find government documents and look for information. Be on the lookout for hints, the type of documents that have been created and received. And again, already published Oprah responses are a good way of really kind of having a cascading, a domino effect to get even more data. And I tell you, this seems true to me. Once you start seeing this, right? Once you recognize that this kind of information is out there that's not readily available publicly, but is there, that you start to really see that there is a lot of information you can get through the Oprah process. Okay. Questions and answers? Any questions? I see there's some in the chat. There's something in the chat there. I don't know what that is. But,
Wow, I'll make a comment. Thank you so much for that excellent presentation, and congratulations on your own Freedom of Information victories. that really
Yeah.
helped your fascinating research. I can see how this could really help other researchers find valuable information that could help them. So thank you for that. I'm looking at the chat to see if we have any questions there.
This is Gordon Mercer, and one of the things I wondered in terms of open information, public agency requests, do those tend to come more from media, from attorneys that are handling case, or just the general public that want more information? And I know it's hard to generalize from area to area because that's probably going to vary, but any comments on where the requests are more likely to come from?
Yes, I don't know about the more likely part, but I think you're absolutely correct. That this tool, this Freedom of Information Act Oprah tool, is one that the media, journalists, investigative journalists do seem to understand and utilize, right? So, like I said, the one I did see came from the media, but I think this is actually a very good question. If we started to look at you know, the archives, right? The requests that have already come in and been answered, who are they really coming from? But I agree with you. I think the media, the journalist is kind of a really strong primary user of this. Actually, in the Mercer County case, I did see things like from like the opposing political parties where they're trying to dig into, oh, who got this contract and how was it awarded and things like that. Maybe even in more of a general term, not just a political opposition, but even watchdog type organizations. Right, so I think you're right that there are many different categories of industries and individuals that are interested in this, and I guess I feel good because I think that we should do it too somehow. Yeah.
I think Brooke Hunter has a question.
Yes.
I do. Excellent presentation. As many of us are educators, Jim, I was wondering if you could talk about how accessible this toolbox is for undergraduate students.
Well, very good. Yeah, I mean, this is open public records process for all, I think, right? Like, so just in general, right, that all members of the public have this access to them. And I having done it so long, and you know, I don't want to be naive to say that this is an easy process, right? It's not necessarily an easy thing. And you know, it's funny, Dean Hunter, sometimes I'll be so proud of this Oprah request I put in, and then the students say all they did was Google it and they found it themselves, right? So they have their own ways. But, and this is why I kind of try to at least do this in my senior capstone course, where I introduce this tool to them. But and you know, I've had many of the victories actually came through students. So it's not simple or easy, but it's not inaccessible or unattainable for undergraduate students. And I try to instill that in the ones in my class for sure. Thank you.
One thing that you said needed to be investigated more that I thought was interesting, you were talking about inmate populations, and you said much more than expected. Many more females were called up for disciplinary activity than male populations. And you said that needed to be investigated further. The difference is quite striking. And I wondered would you have any basis to comment on why that would be the case, since it is very unexpected?
Yeah, so this, right, we have to be, I have to be careful, right? Because it really does need further investigation, and there could be quite a few different reasons for this. One thing that we suggested, the student and I were looking at this, because at the time there was this discovery that there was excessive abuse, sexual abuse at the women's prison, that and part of where that comes from. Why would a corrections officer engage in activity that's counter to the mission, right? The mission is not to abuse and inflict criminal assaults on the individuals they're in charge of. And so one of the ideas we think is that this is some kind of indication of the power and control at the female prison, right? That so disciplinaries are, I'm going to write you up for this behavior that you're doing, right? And so the thought was that because there was this culture, right? There was this characteristic of the female prison, that this is somehow evidence of that. There's every time you turn around, if you don't act in a certain way, we're going to throw this disciplinary at you. The other thing that's kind of tricky in this is you're talking about 555 females versus 17,000 males, right? So I don't know if there's just somehow it levels out over time, and certainly the male population is a broad range of population, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a true answer, as much as when that popped out, it certainly called for, we gotta look into this somehow.
Are there any other questions from the attendees? And perhaps Michael Cassidy, if you're able to introduce yourself. You didn't have a chance early on. Perhaps he doesn't have the technical ability for that. And if there are no other questions, I'm not seeing any more in the chat. I'll just go ahead and close out today's session by thanking Dr. James Wojtowicz again for this excellent presentation on open, public, and freedom. I'd also like to thank Dr. Kinsella, Professor Knox, and all of our attendees for joining us today, and share that our next event in this speaker series will feature Dr. Johanna Bishop, the faculty chapter sponsor of the Delaware Beta chapter at Wilmington University, and she's also the Pi Gamma Mu governor for Delaware. Dr. Bishop will present on the topic of human trafficking on Friday, January 26th of 2024. So please be sure to attend that session. And thank you again, Professor Wojtowicz, and everyone else for attending today.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Thank you, Jim. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.